Hey, Jared.
Yeah?
Trick or treat?
Ooh, that's a tough choice. Trick? No. Treat. I want a treat. Give me a treat.
No one ever picks trick. Well, luckily, we have a movie.
Oh?
From one of our favorite directors.
Oh.
With one of our favorite actors.
Oh.
And it's a horror movie.
Oh, that's on theme for today.
Treat!
This is a spooky episode of Banquet at the Flum Dumpster, isn't it?
How drab, how dull critique can be. It's begging and pleading for apathy. The good, the bad, the in-between. And nothing is everyone's cup of tea. No time to waste, there's things to do. But Jared and Eric are happy too. They'll suffer the worst of films for you. So enter the strangest of banquet rooms.
Happy Halloween, Flumder Dumpster Divers. That's what we're calling our listeners now. Flumder Dumpster Divers. We will definitely use that in episodes after this one.
We will not.
We will not.
The decision to do a Halloween episode.
It's kind of last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just realized, hey, Halloween's coming up. Should probably do a horror movie. Then we look back at our backlog and like, nope, no horror movie.
Yeah, we have not. Horror movies are really, like, there's a lot of them in like bad movie circles. I don't know what else to call it.
It's the thing about horror movies. You can make a bad horror movie so easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it's probably the genre that lends itself most to having some kind of success with low budget in every department.
Yeah. But we have not yet recorded a single episode about a horror movie.
And to be clear, we have not recorded an episode. That doesn't not mean we've not watched bad horror movies.
Oh, yes.
We have watched them.
Since we started developing this podcast in, what was it, like April of 2021? Yeah. And we're only just now starting to release episodes. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. We have not yet watched a horror movie, and that is a void that we are going to fill. So you'll notice in our schedule, we have this a week after. We're dropping this one a week after we dropped our introduction and Super Mario Brothers. Next week, you'll see Cinderella. And then after that, it'll be back to... Something. Well, after that, we'll start dropping episodes every 2 weeks, I think is the plan.
Giving you some content, then making you wait. That's...
Yeah. Get your appetites tasted. What's the expression?
I think you nailed it. That's...
Yeah.
Get your appetites tasted.
Get your appetites tasted from our dumpster banquet of flums is the title of our podcast. Yeah, so it's Halloween, so we're watching a horror movie. What horror movie are we watching, Eric?
So another thing was we had not yet done a David DeCoteau movie on this. And I just want to we need to clarify. You will probably hear us talk about this maybe on every episode, but we love David DeCoteau. Okay?
He is genuinely one of our favorite directors, and he has so much content. Let's give a brief background on David DeCoteau.
Yeah. So this is a director who, started out doing like low budget Hollywood stuff, some erotic films here and there.
That's porn. That's porn. To be clear, this is a director that got his start in porn.
Yes, sure. The 90s proved, he could make movies quick and on a budget, and he made a lot of them. he started making like multiple ones every year. You know, late 90s, he'd start making 5 a year. Now you'll find he will make 10 or more a year. You know, and that in the 2010s, he has made many a year. We were watching one for 2016, which is one of how many, Jared? Guess.
How many films he made in 2016?
Yeah.
26.
You guessed way too high. It's 10.
Oh.
It makes it less impressive, but still, that's like one per month.
Almost. Yeah, that's
almost one per month.
I'm not nearly that productive.
No.
I can't accomplish that many of anything in a year.
Yeah, and so it's often hard to identify which of his movies to watch, because he has 175 credits on IMDb. Which is, you know, a little insurmountable. Some aren't findable, some are porn. And so we chose one with
Well, hang on.
Eric
Let's before we get into that, let's tell the story of how we discovered David DeCoteau.
Yes.
Because once upon a time, I found on Netflix the magnificent piece of cinema titled "A Talking Cat!" ! And this is a film about two separate families who are brought together by a single cat who speaks once to each character, offers a sage bit of wisdom, and then is unable to speak to them ever again for the rest of time. This cat is voiced by a very audibly drunk Eric Roberts, who
Academy Award nominee Eric Roberts.
Who I don't know if, like, David DeCoteau, like, cornered him at a bar on a bad day and just, like, recorded these lines and built a story around them, or...
No, you heard my story, that I talked to somebody who revealed to me the secret of this, that Eric Roberts will just do your movie or whatever for a very low daily rate. If you come to him with, like, if you want to do a voiceover, you just come to him with recording, and, like, $200, he'll be in your movie.
Is that the actual number?
I think it was like 200 or 500. It was something ridiculously low if he didn't have to travel. And then if he did have to travel for one day thing, you could, like, choose, like, you could probably pay more for him not to be drunk.
But he's got a flat rate. This is another, like, this is an actor who on IMDb, guess how many credits Eric Robert has on IMDb? I'm going to guess higher than David DeCoteau.
Yes. 642.
No! No, I thought it was going to be so much closer than that. What?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are completed post-production or whatever, but he does a lot.
That's impressive.
Yeah, you know, like, he will do anything. He will just come into a movie. And so when I found out that he was in Sorority Slaughterhouse, the movie that we're watching today...
A movie that we somehow haven't seen yet.
I know! This is from, like, his peak... Like, both of their peak eras, as far as I'm concerned. 2016 is the sweet spot for both of them.
There is an era of David DeCoteau films, which is, like... I think we're a little bit biased towards it because it's the era that we first discovered him in, but it's, like, around that, like, early, mid-2010s when, like, all of the movies he shoots are in his own house. Some of the movies are made for children. Most of the movies, regardless of whether or not they're made for children, have, like, really weird sexual tension between the characters, or, like, the like, a character and Bigfoot. There is a scene in his film, I think it was Bigfoot versus D.B. Cooper, where a shirtless man just, like, spends, what was it, like 10 straight minutes just, like, rubbing his half-naked body on a bed while Bigfoot, like, looms staring at him through the window, and it's just like the same 8 shots on repeat for like 10 minutes, and it doesn't get old.
I know, and David DeCoteau is the master of somehow getting a movie to 90 minutes.
Just like drawing out the runtime by any cost.
Yeah, you know, you got really, really long opening credits with, like, every, like, as long as you could possibly go with them. Long as possible for the closing credits. And then in the middle, montage. You want to watch these characters, you know, dyeing some eggs? Yeah, you're gonna watch it for 10 minutes. They're gonna dye every single egg, and you know what's gonna be playing over the background? Da 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 da. On repeat, whole montage. It is perfect.
This David DeCoteau is genuinely a gift to humanity.
He is,
like,
yes. And so is Eric Roberts. I stand by that.
Yeah, I'm so genuinely excited to watch this movie.
I am too.
I feel like we haven't talked about Halloween enough. Spooky ghosts. You think they're gonna play the Monster Mash in this movie? Do you think they're going to do the Monster Mash? I've heard it's a graveyard smash.
I think that we watched a Halloween Puppy.
Uh-huh.
I think they're going to use all the same music from that. I'm just going to guess. He has some nice royalty-free music that will play here.
Nothing improves a movie like royalty-free music.
Played on repeat, yeah. No, I think if we want to make it Halloween-y, let's just ask you, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Ooh. Whenever you go to that house and they give you like a full candy bar, doesn't even matter what it is.
Okay.
That's a good one. I think as a child, I developed a taste for Coffee Crisp only through Halloween. I would never get a Coffee Crisp if I went to a store. I still don't get a Coffee Crisp if I went to a store. But whenever the little Coffee Crisps that come with Halloween candy, always loved them.
Yeah. I was always, like, if somebody gave me a full Reese's peanut butter cup, just the full one, that was the one for me. Like, Reese's Pieces were also good, but the chances of getting like a full box of Reese's Pieces, I don't know if that ever happened to me.
You know, I feel like I love Reese's cups.
Yeah.
Not so crazy about Reese's Pieces.
Interesting.
They don't they don't have the chocolate. It's just candy covered peanut butter, and you need the chocolate to get the full Reese experience. That is my controversial hot take of this episode. That's going to get me canceled on Twitter. Yeah.
I see, the thing that I'm most objected to, because I would always have like a flimsy pillowcase or something, where the people who would just like get loose candies and just drop them into your bag, like loose Skittles, and they'll just be like, here you go. You didn't have that?
No, I never got that.
That was always, because it would just, the thing is, you'd be going around, and there was like one time where it was raining, and then I look, and my pillowcase is just like all different colors at the bottom. Because someone just threw loose Skittles in my bag.
Ew, I hate that.
Yeah, I had to like sleep on the rainbow. It was not good. It was not good.
Taste the rainbow, sleep on the rainbow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, remember when you were a kid in Canada in like the early 2000s and you carried around like a little UNICEF box with you? Do kids still do that? Do kids still do that today?
Oh, I hope so. I love the little UNICEF box.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you take them out, then you'd come to school the next day and you'd give it back in, and it was just nice.
Do kids still do that? in the present day?
If somebody came up to my door and I had a house, I would, I would give them a bit of change for their UNICEF box for sure. I don't know if they do, but
I mean, like, under 12 listeners to this podcast, there's a great scam to be made out of just, like, finding an old UNICEF box on eBay and just walking around with it on Halloween and capturing the nostalgia of sad millennials.
So you're suggesting to kids to pretend to be from a charity. Wow. This is the scariest episode we've ever done.
I'm a bad influence.
Jared going to the dark side.
Yeah.
Let's.
I'm inviting the children to con me because I want to put a quarter into a cardboard UNICEF box.
You want to be on the other end. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I would just like to know that it was actually going to a charity, but that's just me. Let's get to the movie though. We'll see you after this short musical break.
Spoilers for Sorority Slaughterhouse follow from this point.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Remain on the edge of your seat. In a moment, your hosts will return with the fruits of their suffering. Every last thought that is currently buffering too. The time has arrived, their opinions will now debut.
So Eric, there's a fairly seminal piece of film theory on the horror film. It's an essay written by a film scholar named Robin Wood, who taught at Queen's before we went to Queen's, in which he argues that the horror genre responds to cultural anxieties of the time by positioning the monster as the return of something that has been repressed.
Mm-hmm.
In David DeCoteau's masterpiece, Sorority Slaughterhouse, I cannot tell if this interpretation of the American horror film is followed in such an on-the-nose way that it is boring to talk about, or if it is blown wide open.
What do you mean?
I mean, it like ceases to be relevant to this movie. Like, what is being repressed here? Is it the sexuality of each of these women? Because none of them is repressing their sexuality. Is it the sexuality of Bobo the clown doll as he lusts over everything but doesn't have genitals of his very own? What is the repressed that is returning in the form of Bobo the clown doll murdering everyone in this sorority?
Well, I mean, so there's one character who I think is trying to advance a specific agenda of sexuality throughout the rest of the sorority.
That is true.
And so I feel like the fact that she is involved with creating the manifestation of Bobo the clown, that I think it feeds into that, the idea that his arousal is what makes him kill.
Uh-huh.
And I think that, you tie that with the, like, there are other examples of that in the horror genre. You are probably referenced in that essay. I just imagine that, like, David DeCoteau, we're more used to, Bigfoot being sexually repressed. Or what other ones? Giant killer bees being sexually repressed. And so, the fact that this sexually repressed figure is voiced so expertly by Eric Roberts, I think that's what's making you question whether or not this is actually relevant. Because it's relevant to all his other movies, just without question.
So that's the obligatory film analysis portion out of the way. Can we just spend the remainder of this podcast gushing about Sorority Slaughterhouse?
Please.
Because that was the most fun I have ever had. I want our listener to understand, less than 2 minutes into this movie, my face physically hurt because of how much I was smiling.
I mean, part of that is just the first 2 minutes are probably also the best 2 minutes.
Yes. The first 2 minutes are the best 2 minutes. But like, it's not worth like watching the first 2 minutes and then returning it after to get your money back. It's not worth it.
I would say that if those 2 minutes are somewhere online and you want to watch them, then go for it if you don't feel like watching the full movie. But do watch the full movie just because.
Just watch every David DeCoteau movie ever made. I don't care if it takes you longer to watch them than it did for him to make them. Watch every single thing that he's ever made. This man is a genius.
I also just think that, like, so the first scene, we haven't actually said what it is.
Okay. Do we want to have a spoiler-free portion of, because anything where we go into specifics about this movie is going to count as a spoiler, because I want anyone in our audience who is actually considering watching this movie to just go and watch it.
Just gather a party of people,
Mm-hmm.
preferably some intoxicants.
Preferably all vaccinated.
Yes. Or virtually.
Or virtually. We watched this virtually, and we had a great time.
Virtually. But I'm just saying, it'll be better watched with other people. And, like, again, probably slightly intoxicated. Neither of us were.
No.
But
we don't follow our own advice, though.
If you could get approximately as drunk as Eric Roberts was while making this, I mean, and again, that is a dangerous level to go near. But if you could somehow get in that vicinity, I imagine this movie would be even better.
But
because
it's so good as it is.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that you need is someone next to you to turn to and look at and go, did that just happen? Did I just watch... I can't even think of something weird that happened in this movie. This whole thing...
Did I just watch a tiny little cloud nibble a foot? For no apparent reason? Let's like with that. I think we get into spoilers because
is there anything that we can say about this film that is not? I don't think so. Other than watch it and Robin Wood.
My other mention of this would be my other thing to mention. Other David DeCoteau movies will probably prepare you for this. Like, I would say, I don't know if this is the best first David DeCoteau movie.
I think that I mean, I'm biased because it's the first one that I watched, but I think that the best first David DeCoteau movie is A Talking Cat! ! Exclamation mark. I think that it has everything that you need out of a David DeCoteau.
Yeah.
It's not on Netflix anymore, and it makes me really sad. But
yeah, I think starting really with any of the children ones kind of give you some idea.
Except for an Easter Bunny Puppy. You have to watch an Easter Bunny Puppy after you've watched all of the other children's films that he directed under the pseudonym Mary Crawford.
Yeah. And that was what was fascinating about this, was that he used his real name.
Yeah.
And I just want to, emphasize, that doesn't happen all the time.
No.
He has, 4 different pseudonyms that he uses throughout his career. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if there are certain sectors in which he apparently has a bad reputation that they'll be like, oh, it's directed by David DeCoteau, that they won't be like, oh, it's directed by some random person named Julian Breen. And I'm not sure what that is all about, but I love it. And this one is directed by him. He's proud of this one. And I think that's important to note.
I think that brings joy to my soul. Why don't we talk about a few David DeCoteau isms, actually, before we get into spoilers?
Sure.
And I think the biggest ism for me, and this isn't a standard throughout all of his films, because he has so many and because his oeuvre goes back so far, but his house. Yeah, I assume that it's the house that he lives in.
I'm not sure if he lives in it, but like he shoots so many of the movies there that it's iconic.
It's this large mansion in somewhere in LA. I think we tracked down the address one time.
Yeah, on IMDb, on a couple of the movies, you can just find it as the house. And it's like slightly north of LA in like the hilly region.
Yeah.
That is often driven, like you'll see a car driving through the hills back and forth while people talk in voiceover, and that will just be a scene for a longer period than you want.
But the house itself is fascinating because it simultaneously looks like he shot so many of his movies just in his own home, and at the same time, it looks like a house that nobody lives in.
That's why I feel like it could just be that, like, it's a rented set that he just, not even, like, maybe, like, leased. Like, he leased this house and then just shot everything there because he had a house.
Between the years of, like, 2012 and 2016?
When you shoot a movie a month, I think that's a decent investment.
I suppose.
It's cheaper than than renting, location shoots. Because the thing is, when we say it's shot in the house, it is exclusively shot in one. Like, that's the thing about these movies. They are single-setting masterpieces. You know,
so many of them.
Yeah, and the only time they're not single-setting is when they go to the other setting that he has,
which is
like
his other house.
Yeah, there's another cottage in the woods, just like, it's usually canonically down the hill from the house, and it's a neighbor's house. Sometimes they have to drive a very long time to get to the summer home where they're going to do their Easter egg hunt or something. But in this one is an example of a completely single setting. It just takes place entirely in the house.
But the imagery of the house is what I want to get at, because it's like every single wall is blank white. There's no art on the wall. There's no paint. There's no wallpaper. It's all white. There's just enough furniture to look like, as you put it, to look like it hadn't just been robbed.
Yes.
And as I put it while we were watching, it looks like it was set dressed by a realtor trying to sell the house.
But, like, the thing with realtors staging a house is that they want to make it, like, they want to imitate what it would be like if your furniture was in the house. I also don't feel like any of that furniture has been used for anything besides, like, that's the thing. It's like, this is showroom furniture.
Yeah.
Throughout. And in this case, it also extends to, okay, they often use a pool. And this is where I'm wondering if this is a different house. Because are there two pools in that house?
I mean, it is a large house. It is a large house. They have, like, a pool. They have a tennis court. They have a croquet something. They have, I'm pretty sure I've seen at least, like, 2 or 3 different kitchens.
But it's a weird
large,
to me because
it's a mansion. It's a large thing.
Maybe they do have 2 pools then. Because, like, there's another pool that has been used in other movies. particularly in a talking cat exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Which is iconic, and it wasn't this one. You know, there were some nice pool scenes in this one too. But I think we got to spoil before we get to that.
Yeah, so this is it, dear listener. This is where we part ways. If you love yourself in any way, if you need some joy in your life today, go watch Sorority Slaughterhouse this Halloween. Or April 27th, whenever you're listening to this. Not watching, listening. This is a podcast.
The movie, watching the movie.
Yeah, whenever you're next watching a movie.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to be good, watch Sorority Slaughterhouse.
Yeah. So you say that it isn't good because it's amazing.
Yes. Okay. Spoilers start now. Where do we start with?
We begin with the beginning.
Oh yes. Okay. We begin with the beginning. The thing that we have both wanted to talk about for 15 minutes now.
I wish I could just memorize the monologue that
it's
Eric
not possible
Roberts...
because I'm convinced that it was ad-lib. Okay, I'm going to start by saying that there is no way for either of us to do this opening scene justice. It has to be seen to be experienced. But Eric Roberts plays the dean of some kind of college who is on the phone sounding very upset with some kind of ex-lover he's
a character in the movie.
Yes, but we don't know that yet.
Okay.
An ex-lover of some kind.
We're in the spoiler section, yes, you can say.
Yeah, I'm trying to create suspense. Anyways, he calls her my dimple face. Because that's just a cute pet name that isn't at all weird. And he's just like becoming increasingly upset because he clearly sleeps with multiple college-age women at his school. Like students at his school, and
there's a great moment where he goes, he's just, because remember, we don't hear who was on the other side of the other end of the phone, and he says, I don't care about her at all, or her, or her, or her. Oh, I didn't sleep with her, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, and like the way that it cuts within itself, I'm convinced that it was ad-lib. I feel like Eric Roberts came on set for a single day. David DeCoteau said, "This is your character, roughly. Go to town." Eric Roberts stands with his legs at like a 45-degree angle.
Wait. No. That is when it crescendos to him. His monologue crescendos to him standing up and screaming into the phone with his legs akimbo. It's like...
Sorry, akimbo? Is that a thing?
Yes!
Is that the word for that?
I believe.
I mean, you would know better than I would, but I've never encountered that before. You learn something new every day here on Banquet at the Flum Dumpster. We are an educational podcast. I referenced film theory earlier. But then he finds a gift from his sweet dimple face.
Yeah.
A clown doll. A 12-inch tall clown doll named Bobo. He is so upset with Dimpleface that he proceeds to play Russian roulette with Bobo. Why? Like, with a gun? Why? I don't understand.
He's clearly drunk.
I mean, I don't drink alcohol. That's a life choice that I've just made. Do people normally get drunk and just go, you know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna pull out my gun and play Russian roulette with a teddy bear.
Okay. Not a teddy bear, a clown.
Sorry. I'm gonna play Russian roulette with my action figure of the Joker from Batman.
we are living in a different world than any character in any David DeCoteau movie. I think that's clear. Because the David DeCoteau universe, there are certain leaps of logic that the characters make that go beyond the, like, when you're watching a horror movie and you're like, oh, why would they run upstairs when somebody is chasing them through their house with a knife? And you're like, of course, yeah, go to the one place where they could easily catch you. The decisions made by characters in David DeCoteau movies, you have to just basically say, all of these people are insane.
So does that include the scene with the woman in the bathtub where she only washes her legs?
Yes,
repeatedly.
Back and forth, one leg, second leg. And then, of course, you have, like, in this scene, the way that Bobo kills her is by pouring a chemical down her throat. But he gets it started. She holds it there.
I thought you were
for
going
the
to
rest
reference,
of the time.
I thought you were going to reference the fact that the chemical in question is Drainy Clog, which is David DeCoteau presumably printing out the letter Y and adding it, just like glue sticking it onto a bottle of drain cleaner, and then emptying out the drain cleaner and filling it with water. Not even filling it with, like, fruit punch or something to give it, like, some kind of, like, color to it, just, like, water.
Just water. Or he might have just killed an actress. We don't know if she's been in anything else.
That's true.
We have suspicions about the David DeCoteau actors just disappearing. This is a open call for many reasons. If you have worked on a David DeCoteau movie, please get in touch.
Please record an episode of this podcast with us. Or alternatively, if you are David DeCoteau,
yes,
please record a podcast episode with us and just watch your favorite or least favorite movie with us. We are in awe of your entire art.
Yes, very much so. Especially this one. And, okay, another scene that I particularly loved was the one where after knocking out one of the sorority girls' boyfriends with some kind of big pipe, the little... Have we already established that Eric Roberts comes back as a 12-inch clown?
I think we've implied it, but when Eric Roberts loses the game of Russian roulette to the clown doll, he gets shot in the head, and his soul transfers into the clown doll.
Yeah, and it's a little tiny clown doll that scampers around the house going,
No, you're not doing it justice. It's like...
Honestly, imagining Eric Roberts just sitting with a microphone in his face and them saying, now pretend you're a 12-inch clown doll running down the hall, and him just kind of going, I can do this. I know how that sounds, okay. But sorry, no, back to the scene. I just needed to clarify. This is a 12-inch clown doll wielding a giant metal pipe and delivering enough force to knock out a human. He then shoves a blow-up balloon down this guy's throat and goes, there's something phallic about this death. Which I can't tell if it was ad-libbed or just delivered as if it was ad-libbed.
No, I think that was in the script, because we've established that we think that that Eric Roberts was on set for one day and he recorded everything just in a day.
Yeah, but I just wonder if that was just like they said, oh, and this is what happens in this scene, and they gave him a different line, and he just like was remarking to David DeCoteau, well, this death seems kind of phallic, doesn't it?
I did
like
write that down. The exact wording was, is there something phallic about this death, or is it just me?
Yeah, exactly. That just seems like something he could have just said while, like, looking at the script and looking at David DeCoteau and going, I don't know about this one.
I think we need to also, while we're doing this, invite Eric Roberts to come on the show.
Yes. Please, in your busy schedule, find time for us.
I don't think that we can afford your flat rate. I'm sorry.
No, but you can be drunk.
You can. that might make it better.
But yeah, The other thing, the big twist was that this well, I don't know if she worships Satan. I feel like just generally a cult girl, sorority girl, is the mastermind behind everything, revealed in a completely unnecessary, overlong bit of exposition.
I would counter that with, that's a level of exposition that we don't normally get from David DeCoteau, and that's a level of exposition in place of, like, 10 cumulative minutes of B-roll.
But that's the thing. I feel like somehow 10 cumulative minutes of B-roll might have been more interesting than that bit of exposition. Because one thing that I love about David DeCoteau movies is, like, he will linger on scenes by just extending them, like what we were saying, where he just had one of the actresses just wash her legs for a long time.
Or, like, reusing footage of her washing her legs. Because she washed the left leg and then washed the right leg. And then washed the left leg and then washed the right leg. And then washed the left leg and then washed the right leg. And then washed the left leg, and then the scene cut away to a different scene of different characters doing something different, and then it cut back, and she washed the left leg. And then she washed the right leg, and then she washed the left leg. And then Bobo the Clown Doll murdered her with Drainy Clog.
But, like, I would take that over his attempts at, like, long dialogue scenes. Because the long dialogue scenes, unless they're played for, like, really, really, really cheap jokes, don't work. It's the one failing thing, is, like, they will drag on somehow more than a montage. And I don't know how that manages to happen, but it does. Because you know that none of the exposition actually matters.
All of the exposition actually matters. I was very
what she was saying, like, just like a basic screenwriting thing. What she was saying, it's like, look at how all of them were killed. You know, it was when he was lusting after this person. It was when he was lusting after this person. Like, she was in the bath. They were making out at the pool. She was writing her erotic novel. And she ties all of these things together, and then, like, you have to think, okay, so that has to tie in with how they defeat him. She needs to somehow, like, find a way. And then the next way he kills somebody, nothing to do with an erotic thing. It was just, I'm gonna throw a pie in this guy's face. And then the way that he kills her, or the way that she kills the little doll, is just like, I'm just gonna throw you in the carburetor and see what happens. Movie ends. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you would normally think, oh, okay, that's how it all ties together. You know, I thought that she would have to be, like, as repugnant as possible, and then he wouldn't want to kill her, and then she would be like, now I have the upper hand.
Eric, are you expecting clear and well-developed thematic threads from a David DeCoteau movie?
I am offering up my scriptwriting services to Mr. David DeCoteau.
Okay, what's your pitch for a David DeCoteau movie, for his next film?
Oh.
If he's listening right now, what is your pitch to get him to DM at Flum Dumpster on Twitter or on Instagram and hire you to write the script for his next movie? What's your pitch?
So I'm gonna call it Giant Maggots from Outer Space! ! Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark.
Okay, good start.
And it's going to be that there's it's taking place at the house, and one of the big problems at this house is so it's not going to be a sorority, it's going to be a fraternity. One of the frat boys is constantly leaving his food to rot in the fridge. It's getting moldy, maggoty, typical frat boy things. Meteor comes.
What?
Meteor comes. A meteor comes from space.
I heard you. I'm just shocked at the plot twist. I wasn't expecting it to go in this direction.
Hits into the kitchen. They're like, oh my god! But what happens is this meteor is radioactive.
Oh.
Expands the maggots, makes them giant.
Oh.
But they kind of slink out in the middle of the night. There's a scientist who sees the meteor and is coming to the fraternity to tell them about it. He gets attacked by the maggots on the road. Doesn't make it too bad, because then the maggots come back. We get a lot of... The maggots, of course, lust after the frat boys in a very big way. And the one thing that you know about maggots, everyone knows this, can't get wet. So, frat boys, in order to escape from the maggots, they find they have to, go into the pool, have little splash fights, splash at the maggots. Shirtless, of course. But, once they think they're safe, there's the one guy who's like, oh man, I gotta go make myself a sandwich. He goes to the kitchen. Boom, maggot, kills him. One of the other frat boys goes, hey, what happened to Chad? We haven't seen him in a bit. Also goes out of the pool. Leaves just two of them. The two of them go, okay, these guys are clearly dead. The maggots clearly are in the house. They go, get super soakers, take them into the house. Climactic scene where they spray the maggots with the water. The maggots dissolve in a special effects extravaganza. Save the day. Maybe they make out a little. I don't know.
10 minutes of 10 minutes of credits?
10 minutes of credits.
Yeah. I like the sound of that, and David DeCoteau, if you're listening, I hope you like the sound of that too.
Yeah.
And also, I love you.
Yeah.
We can talk for hours about this movie.
We really can.
But I don't want one of our early episodes to be too long. And I think we're already pushing close to the hour mark. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
No, I think all I want to leave people with is go watch this movie. Any way you can. Please.
Please do yourself a favor and watch Sorority Slaughterhouse from 2016.
Give David DeCoteau some money.
I'll end with a quote from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything wrong. I am a killer clown doll with no genitals and an uncontrollable sex drive.
Stirring.
Mm-hmm. So that's Sorority Slaughterhouse. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, whether you're David DeCoteau or not, you can do so at Flum Dumpster. There you can follow us, tweet at us, you can tell us your least favorite movie, and maybe we'll even watch it. I think we've got have you set up an Instagram yet, Eric?
I have.
You have?
At Flum Dumpster.
Perfect. You can follow me on Twitter, at Jared Aronoff. Are you on Twitter, Eric?
You can just follow me in real life as long as you're a 12-inch clown doll.
I wouldn't
I
recommend
won't notice.
signing yourself up for that. Do you have a lot of 12-inch clown dolls in your life?
I wouldn't know.
I'm not going to ask questions about that because I don't want to know what it means. Our lovely theme song, our phenomenal theme song, was composed, produced, and performed by the one and only Tarquin Alexandra. You can follow her on Twitter at Tark Alexandra, that's Tarq Alexandra, and you can stream her most recent EP, A Tyrant's Demise, on Spotify, Apple, or any other music platform of your choice.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. Happy Bobo the Clown Doll Oween is what it's now called. That's what it's called now. I hope you enjoy your candy.
And I hope you bobote.
I hope you bobo.
If the concept were to exist, that I'm to explain, which it doesn't. In hypothetical terms, every form of art has a bucket, a container to categorize the format and style, the greats and the rotten. The podcast that you've just consumed did the work for you by scraping the bottom